This was Emperor Akbar. He suffered from this problem. And Dara Sikho also suffered from this problem. And he said, oh, here's the Hindus, here's the Jews, here's the Buddhists, here's the Muslims, here's the Christians, here's the Zoroastrians, here's the American Indians, here's the whatever it is. They still do that. You still see pictures of it today. And they say, okay, then all of this, the paths, these are all paths, and they lead to the center, and the center is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is flat land. Guess what? The world is round. Guess what? There's time. There's time. Revelation occurs in time. That's why Allah says, Akmala deenukum, I've completed your religion for you, and the deen and alayhi-s-salaam. In the deen and alayhi-s-salaam. Because it was a continuation. It was a spiral progression of revelation that culminated in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is what happened. So this prayer was finished. Then Jibreel took him, and they went to this rock towards the northern end of this big esplan, this big area, the Haram al-Sharif, and there's this rock. This rock has been cut up a lot, and the Crusaders cut it up. They tried to make something with it. You know, people have messed with it in many different ways. But the most amazing thing of it is you can go underneath this rock, and it looks like it's floating. We've done that. We've gone underneath it. The rock is like it's floating. You don't see where it's attached. It's like it's just something that's floating there. Well, it is attached, but it appears when you're underneath it that you're in this place that's floating. Many people do khilwa there. Sheikh Muhammad Jamal, many times he makes the khilwa there. Many of our friends make the khilwa there. Shaykh Nooruddeen Muhammad, who was from the Naqshbandi, used to make it there. We know many people who make khilwa in that place. It's a very, very blessed place. But on top of that, these were these stairs. These stairs, each stair was, one stair was silver, the other stair was gold. Silver, gold, silver, gold, silver, gold. And it was like an escalator, it was moving. And this is the stairway, it's called the stairway of the angels. So he's ridden on Barak, one. Now he takes the next thing, the stairway. And he goes on this stairway and he begins to go up on this stairway. He begins to ascend on this stairway. This is called the stairway of the angels. Angels come and go, come and go, come and go between the different heavens. This is the way they come and go between the earth and the heavens on this stairway. It's a moving stairway, like an escalator. It just keeps moving, but each step like this is like silver and gold, silver and gold, silver and gold, silver and gold, and you go up on that. And so he went up on that, and he took the trip on that, and then he came there to the very first heaven, and then he got to reach to the door of this heaven, because each of the heavens has a bab, a door. Remember earlier talks we talked about the bab, how there's a door, and the door divides one thing and another. You have to go through the door. This is the whole story of the spiritual path, is passing through these doors. So he passed through this first door. But he came to the door, and Jibreel, because they're very polite, everybody's very polite, he's knocking on the door. He says, who's there? Who's there? Who's with you? You know, he hears this, and he says, Muhammad. Jibreel says, Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the angel says to him, is he sent for? And Jibreel says, yes, it's time for him to go up. And so Jibreel says, open the gate. And so he opens the gate, and who does he see? He sees Adam alayhi salam. And to the right of Adam, there are many, many bodies. And to the left of Adam are many, many bodies. And every time he looks to the right, he laughs. And every time he looks to the left, he cries. This is Adam alayhi salam. After giving greetings, you see him like this. He looks this way. He's very smiley face like this. He looks this way. He's very sad face. Who are these? You can understand. These are the children of Adam, of whom we are. Him. And he was happy to see him, and you can imagine, you know, what that meeting must have been like, that this man who is the father of humanity, even though the Prophet ﷺ existed before Adam, yet he is the father, Adam is the father of Muhammad, also in a way, alayhi salam. And they looked at each other, and what must have passed between their faces, we don't know how the eyes, you know, saw each other, but this was like father and great grandson seeing each other for the first time, eye to eye in this way. It was a blessed meeting, alhamdulillah. And from there he went on from there to the second heaven, and in the second heaven he saw two prophets, peace be upon them both, who were very connected with that area, who are Isa and Yahya, Jesus and John. Isa and Yahya alayhi-s-salaam, alayhi-s-salaam. And he saw them, and they, of course, they're cousins. And they are, because their mothers were sisters, Maryam and Elizabeth. These two were sisters, and and then Elizabeth, of course, she is the wife of Sidna Zachariah, alayhi-s-salaam, who also is a prophet Zachariah. And then the same thing happened. They saw each other and they talked with each other and they made dua for each other and so on and so forth. And then they went to the third heaven. So who the first heaven? Who's in the first heaven? Oh, who's in the second heaven? Isa and who? Yeah. Okay, and then he goes to the third heaven. Who's in the third heaven? Aywa Yusuf is in the third heaven, mashallah. And when he sees Sidna Yusuf alayhi salam, he said to Jibril, and he said to Jibril, he says, "Ya Jibril," he said, "I've seen half of the beauty of the world." Because when he saw Yusuf, because Yusuf, the ladies, they cut their hands when they saw him because of his, it's like when you see like a really, really handsome, nobody compares to Sidna Yusuf alayhi salam. And the Prophet alayhi salam said about him, he is half of the beauty of the entire world. And you know how beautiful like the morning is, the blue skies and the clouds and the trees and the birds and all those things, or beautiful women or handsome men, or all of those things that we all call beautiful, and all of those things like that. Half of that is Yusuf alayhi salam. That's how handsome he was. And they spoke with one another, and the same thing happened. And then so he continued on and into the fourth heaven, and he met Idris alayhi salam. Idris, we don't know much about Idris alayhi salam, except that we know that he was a father. This is a very important part about Idris alayhi salam. He's the father of a son. He's thought of as that kind of a figure, as the figure of the father who teaches the son. So that when you have trouble with your children, and so on and so forth, always making dua, and talk to Sidna Idris alayhi salam. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to him, he says, وَاذْكُرْ فِي كِتَابِ إِدْرِيسَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صَدِيقًا نَبِيًّا فَأَنَّهُ مَقَامًا عَلِيمٌ. I gave him a very high station, Allah says about him. This is what we know about Idris. And so he met this Idris in which heaven? Fourth heaven. Okay, so now we're in the fourth heaven. In the fifth heaven, he met who? Harun. You can't say, you have to be quiet, you know everything. You have to leave it for other people. Harun. Harun, who is Harun? Harun is the older brother of who? Sidna Musa alayhi salam. Harun benefited so much because you know what happened with Musa alayhi salam. They want to kill all the Jews. The Jews, of course, were the Muslims of that time. The Bani Israel were the Muslims of the time. They always want to kill them. They want to kill them. They want to kill him, and his mother trusting, he put in the boat, he'd go in the boat, and he'd go, and Pharaoh's wife take him, the best of women, one of the best of the women, take him to her house, but still Pharaoh is suspicious of him. But his magicians and this told him, no, the one that's going to kill you is the one who's going to kill you either by the sword or by his tongue. And Sidna Musa alayhi salam looking at looking at Pharaoh, and he's knowing that he's thinking, just the way Isa's talking in the grave, Harun knows what Pharaoh is thinking, so there's a fireplace there, he puts his hand in the fireplace, he grabs the coal in his hand, burning his hand, he puts the coal in his mouth, and he burns his mouth. That's why he says, Rabbi ishrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Because his tongue was twisted from the fire that went into his mouth, and he couldn't talk because his tongue was twisted. But when the wife of the Pharaoh brought the mother of Musa alayhi salam into the house, she also brought into it the sister and also the brother Harun. Harun, the older brother, and Harun benefited by living in the house of Pharaoh because he went to the best schools, you might say. All of the children of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh had many children because he had many wives, had a big school It's described in some of the old books, the school of Firaun, the best, like Harvard or Yale or something like that. Harun went to these schools, and Harun, mashallah, was, as they say, Zaki, yani very, very intelligent one. And he benefited by that. That's why when Prophet Musa alayhi-s-salaam prayed to Allah, he says, give me to help me Harun, because Harun, mashallah, was so smart and so clear and so eloquent and so speaking so well and so highly educated a person. This was Harun. So this is who he met into the fifth heaven. And he went on to the sixth heaven, and who does he meet in the sixth heaven? Musa alayhi-salam. So, okay, so one is who? Adam. Two is who? Two. The two, Yahya and Isra. Three, Yusuf. Four, five, six, mashallah. Okay, don't forget now. Okay, next, he go from there and he have a meeting with this, and when Musa saw him, he began to weep. And when the Prophet ﷺ asked Musa, why are you crying? And he says, because a young man has come after me, and more of his followers will enter paradise than my followers. You can imagine that, before the advent of the Prophet ﷺ, the main of the people who were going into the Jannah were from Bani Israel. But now he sees Sidna Muhammad ﷺ, and he knows what Allah already is going to say, هَذَا دِينَ الْحَقِّ وَلِيُظْهِرُهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ, and these people will enter into the thing as like that. And he says in the Quran about that, and the meaning of his words in Surah Al-Tawbah, that there are those who malign the Prophet, and they say he is only an ear. وَيَقُولُونَ هُوَ أُذْنٌ, he's only an ear. You tell them, he's an ear of goodness for all of you who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those who believe of the believers, and he is a mercy to all of those of you who believe. That is Muhammad alayhi-salaam. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And this is what Sidna Musa saw of him. And from then he goes on to the seventh heaven. And who does he meet in the seventh heaven? And how does he find Ibrahim? Ibrahim is leaning. I get to move my table back. Ibrahim is leaning back. He's leaning back. What's he leaning against? Bayt al-Ma'mur. What is Bayt al-Ma'mur? Bayt al-Ma'mur is the oft-visited shrine. It is the Kaaba of the Jannah in the seventh heaven, and it's directly above the Kaaba in Makkah Mukarramah. And every day into that thing go 10,000 angels. 10,000, how many? 70,000 angels. Increase it by 60. I thought it was the 70,000 angels enter into this Bayt al-Ma'mur, and they come out again and you never see them again. Imagine how many. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said you can stick your hand out like this or like this, and anytime you do that, you're touching an angel. That's how many angels there are. There are angels surrounding this place. Everywhere in this whole place, everywhere in the world, there are angels, everywhere. How do we see except by the angels? Where do you think we see? What are the angels made out of? Light. How do you think we see? We see because there's angels. The angels make us, their light causes us to see all of this. Allah dispensed these angels. They come and they go, and they come and they go, and Allah dispenses them out into the world.